Good morning, church. As always, I love you and I appreciate you. I'm so incredibly thankful for each and every one of you personally, but also for this congregation collectively. I want to echo what Steve said to our graduating kindergartners. Congratulations to all of them. Your church family loves you and is so excited for your future, but not just for them, but for all of our students and young people, whatever chapter you're finishing and whatever chapter you're going into. Guys, please don't ever forget how much the Lord loves you and how much this church family loves you and always, always will love you. You know, we talk a lot about how hard it is to be parents, and that's true. It is hard to be a parent. And we talk sometimes about how hard it is to be a spouse and how hard it is to be a good spouse. But sometimes we don't stop and think about or often talk about how hard it is to be a kid. It's hard to be a kid sometimes, isn't it? I was thinking this week about how hard it is to be my kids. Thankfully, my kids aren't in first service, so they won't hear this part. But I was thinking about how much I don't know about some of the things that they care about and are important to them. My oldest son, if you know my oldest son, he loves baseball. And honestly, he's known more about baseball since he was probably 5 more than me about baseball. In fact, I asked him yesterday, at what point do you think what age do you think that you knew more about baseball than I do? He said, -1. That's how bad it is. It's close. That's close to being accurate. And then my youngest son, he has his own YouTube channel now, which is exciting and fun. I'm sure he'd want me to say like and subscribe, whatever that means. But I noticed as I was watching some of his videos lately that there was this very sweet-looking old man, this little old man in the background of some of his videos, kind of balding head, white beard, and some of you are laughing already. And he was just this guy was just kind of wandering aimlessly, cluelessly in the background. And I thought, who is this clueless little old man? And it was me. It was me. And I wonder, at what point did that happen, that I became this clueless old man? But somewhere along the line, it happens, doesn't it? And it's hard to be a kid when your parents don't know about certain things, are clueless about certain things. It's hard to be a kid when your parents expect you to do certain things and you feel like they don't know, they don't understand. It's hard to always be respectful and submissive and obedient. And even when you become an adult, sometimes that still is a challenge. Sometimes it's a challenge when you feel like your parents don't understand you, your parents don't appreciate you, your parents don't agree with the decisions that you make. And I want us to consider the story of Jesus and Jesus' childhood, because I think that this will be an encouragement to all of us, because that's one thing we all have in common, is that we were all children, and we are all sons and daughters, regardless of how old we are or how old our parents may be. And even after our parents have gone on to be with the Lord, there is still so much that we can learn about honoring and respecting and even obeying our parents by looking at the life of Jesus. So if you have your Bible, look at Luke chapter 1. The first couple of chapters of Luke are unique to the gospel accounts. We learn things and hear things about Jesus that we don't in the other 3 gospel accounts. But Luke chapter 1 begins, begins verse 26 with what the angel Gabriel is saying to Mary about who Jesus will be. And he says this: in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed, we would say engaged, to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and said, "Greetings, O favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was greatly troubled at the saying and tried to discern what sort of greeting this might be. And the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." Verse 31, "And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High. And the Lord God will give to him the throne of his father David, and he will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." I mean, just stop right there for a second and just recognize what Gabriel is saying about who Jesus is and who Jesus will be and what his name means. The word Jesus means Yahweh saves. So this child that is going to be born is the one through whom Yahweh is going to save his people. Gabriel says he will be great. The word great means superior, important. He says that he will be the Son of the Most High. Now, who is the Most High? God, right? God. He will be the Son of God. The Son of God. And obviously there's so much there about him being the son of David and him having a throne. So this Jesus will be the king, right? Yahweh is going to save through him. God is going to save through him. He is the Son of the Most High. He is the Son of God. He is great. He is superior. He is important. He is King. He is Lord. This is who this baby is. Not just who he will grow up to be, not what he'll achieve, but who he will be the moment that he's born, even before he's born. This is who he is. And Mary said, verse 34, Mary said to the angel, "How will this be since I'm a virgin?" And the angel answered her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be called Holy, the Son of God." And we've spent some time this year talking about all of these important truths about Jesus that we need to believe in order to be his followers, that he is God. He is divine. This baby that is born in Bethlehem to Mary is the Son of God. He is divine. He is holy. He is the Son of the Most High. Again, not something he will grow up to achieve or something he will be one day, but this little baby, this helpless baby, this baby that can't talk, this baby that can't walk, this baby that can't do anything, this baby is the Son of God. This baby is divine. This baby is the Son of the Most High. He is the Son of David. He is born King of Kings and Lord of Lords. This is the reality that Gabriel gives to Mary. Then look at chapter 2 of Luke. Luke chapter 2, verse 39. Here's where we're going to spend some time. Verse 39. When they had performed everything according to the law of the Lord, they returned from Jerusalem into Galilee to their own town of Nazareth. And the child, I think this is an important word, grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and the favor of God was upon him. Now, there's so much there, isn't there? Because when we stop and think about what does that mean? Because in some ways, Jesus he's ordinary in some ways, isn't he? Because Jesus is not only divine, he's not only the Son of God, he is also fully human. Jesus is also fully human. This baby that's born in Bethlehem, this baby that is raised in Nazareth, this baby, this child is not just fully God, he's also fully human, which means like every other child, he has to grow, change over time. He has to learn, he has to mature, he has to develop. So in some ways, he is extraordinary. He is unlike any other child, but in some ways, he's ordinary. He's like every single one of us. The same kinds of things that happened to us when we were children are the same kinds of things that happened to him. And obviously the wisdom with which he is filled, it came from God. But that doesn't preclude him having to learn stuff, right? Him having to learn things. He had to learn how to talk. He had to learn, I suppose, how to read. He had to learn how to study. He had to learn and grow and develop and mature. And so as he is doing all of these things, God is filling him with wisdom and he is growing and developing. Look at verse 41. Now, his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to custom. And when the feast was ended, as they were returning, the boy, still a child, a youth, Jesus, stayed behind in Jerusalem, and his parents did not know it. Okay? And we're all always afraid that that's going to happen to us. But he says, verse 44, but supposing him to be in the group, let's stop there for a second. There's a big group traveling back from Jerusalem, from the feast, back home to Galilee, and the way that they probably traveled was that the women and the children stayed up front and the men stayed in the back of the group. And so maybe Joseph, assuming that, Jesus is still a boy, so he's probably up there with the women and children, or maybe Mary thinking, well, he's 12 now. I mean, he's getting to be a man. Maybe he's back there with the men. And so probably Joseph assuming that he's up there at the front and Mary assuming that he's back there at the back. They're traveling along, and they have no idea that Jesus is not in the group at all. And they went a day's journey, but then they began to search for him among the relatives and acquaintances. And when they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem searching for him. I can't imagine, can you? How terrifying that would be for any parent, but especially these parents, after finding out before Jesus was born who he is, that he's the Son of God, that you've been entrusted with the Son of God, and now we lost him. We don't know where he is. Can you imagine the stuff that went through their mind? As first they realize, is he with you? No, he's not with me. I thought he was with you. No, he's not with me. And then, well, he's got to be here somewhere. And then searching in the caravan for all of it, asking aunts and uncles and cousins and asking around. And no, I haven't seen him. I saw him when we were back in Jerusalem. I haven't seen him since. And wondering, where is he? What's happened to him? Is he alive? Are we going to find him? Absolutely, 100% terrified. All the worst case scenarios going through their mind. And then look at verse 46. After 3 days, they found him in the temple. And there he was, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. So they looked for him for 3 whole days. Can you imagine going to sleep that first night? Or not going to sleep that first night? Or the second night? And searching and searching and searching and wondering where he was, and then finding him, and he's just totally oblivious, hanging out in the temple, talking to the teachers, having a grand old time, and there he is sitting in the temple. And what's amazing is that Luke tells us he's already filled with wisdom. He's filled with wisdom, but what is he doing? Even filled with wisdom, he still wants to learn more. He's asking questions. And I don't think at this stage he's not asking questions to kind of put the teachers in their place or to show them up. There's no indication that he's being precocious, he's being disrespectful or rude. He's listening. He's genuinely listening. He's asking amazing questions. And they're like, how old is this kid? Where did this kid come from? He's asking questions like that. And then he's giving some answers and he's sharing thoughts, and they're amazed what's happening. And his parents show up, and of course they're amazed too. They're astonished. But what else are they? Imagine they're a little upset, don't you think? Angry, fearful. Here he is, but why? Where have you been? What are you doing? In fact, go on and read verse 48. And when his parents saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us so? Behold, your father and I have been searching for you in great distress." Why have you treated us like this? Now, we need to understand Jesus never sinned. Even as a child, Jesus never sinned. But Mary certainly thought that Jesus was treating his parents poorly, didn't she? She thought, how dare you treat us like this? You put us through unnecessary stress and distress, and I can't believe that you were just sitting here and you didn't come with us, and you should have known better, and why have you done this? I just want to stop and ask, is Mary right or wrong? To be upset, to be scared, to be distressed, to feel like Jesus shouldn't have done this, and why did you do this? I know as a parent, and if you're a parent, you probably feel the same way, that that's exactly how you would respond, maybe even with a little more distress. Maybe you would be even more upset. But of course she's upset, and of course she feels like this shouldn't have happened. But listen to Jesus' response, verse 49. He said to them, "Why were you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" And they did not understand the saying that he spoke to them. So both Jesus and Luke seem to be emphasizing the fact that they didn't know. They didn't understand, that it was Mary and Joseph's lack of knowledge, lack of understanding that caused the problem. And again, we can all sort of relate to that, can't we? Now, sometimes when we were kids, we just thought our parents didn't know or didn't understand, but then after 10 or 15 or 20 years, we realized, oh, actually, they did know, they did understand, but sometimes they genuinely don't know, don't understand. And so you might expect that Jesus says, no, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to be in my Father's house. I'm going to be doing my Father's business. You people don't understand. You don't know. Who are you to tell me what to do? You can't, you're not the boss of me. I'm the Son of God. I'm going to stay right here and do what I'm doing. But is that what Jesus does? No. And it might surprise us, but it says, verse 51, he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was, what's the word, church? Submissive to them. And his mother treasured up all these things in her heart, and Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man. See, even though they didn't understand, even though they didn't know, even though they were lacking knowledge, they were lacking understanding, that even at 12 years old, he had an understanding about who he was. He had a knowledge about who he was and what he was supposed to be doing. And even though his parents didn't have the same knowledge, didn't have the same understanding at that point, he was submissive to them. He did what they told him to do. He was obedient to them. He was respectful to them. He honored them. And then even as he increased in wisdom. So he was already full of wisdom. He already had so much wisdom. People were amazed at his wisdom. And even from there, at 12 years old, he continued to grow. So at 13, he had even more wisdom and stature. And at 14, and at 15, and at 17, and at 20, and at 25, and he continued to increase in wisdom. But even as he increased in wisdom, he submitted to his parents. He obeyed them. He respected them. He honored them. This word submit is such an incredibly important word for us as Christians. The Greek word is hupotasso, and it means a voluntary attitude of giving in, cooperating, assuming responsibility, and carrying a burden. And throughout the New Testament, followers of Jesus are told to submit. We all have to submit. We all have different areas of our life where we have to be in submission, not just children to parents, but in all kinds of relationships, we have to submit. And here's what I want us to understand, that Christians are to be submissive to Jesus, like Jesus, and for Jesus. That Christians are to be submissive to Jesus, number one, to Jesus. Obviously, as followers of Jesus, we have to listen to him and honor him. The phrase we've been thinking about all year is loving loyalty. We have to be loyal to Jesus, which means we submit to him. We do what he tells us to do. We read the Sermon on the Mount over and over and over and over again, and then we build our house on the rock of his teaching. We listen to him and we obey him. There's going to be moments in our lives where we even think that we know better than Jesus. There's going to be times in our life where we read the words of Jesus and we think, Jesus doesn't understand what it's like to be me. He doesn't understand what it's like to live in the 21st century. He doesn't understand what it's like to do this. He doesn't understand what it's like to be at my job. He doesn't understand what it's like to be at my school. He doesn't understand what it's like to have my parents. But he does. And he tells you, if you want to live, if you want to get through the storms of life, then don't just listen to his words, obey them. So we submit to Jesus, but then we also submit like Jesus, which means we honestly look at the fact that Jesus had parents who not just seemed to not know or seemed to not understand, but they actually didn't know, didn't understand some of the things that he did. And he submitted to them anyway. And we submit to, we honor, we obey those who are in authority over us. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, that we do things that are harmful or destructive or sinful if somebody tells us to do those things. But it does mean that there are going to be lots of times in your life, whether it's a parent or a spouse or a boss or a teacher or an elder who tells you things and you think, I don't I don't like that. I don't agree with that. They don't know what they're talking about. Where we submit to them anyway. Again, not doing things that are sinful or wrong. But there are going to be times in your life where an elder tells you, or a teacher tells you, or a parent tells you something to do, and you submit to them to be like Jesus. You submit to them, not necessarily because you think they know what they're talking about, but because Jesus did that, and because you want to be like Jesus. But then finally, we also submit for Jesus. It's not really for the person we're submitting to, it is for Jesus. Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 5 to submit to one another in the church, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Out of reverence for Christ. So we submit to one another for Jesus. It isn't really necessarily for that person, it's for Jesus, because it doesn't really matter what they've done or what they might do. We don't submit in order to get our own way. We don't submit in order to manipulate people. We don't submit because we think if we do this, then maybe they'll do that. We submit out of reverence for Christ because we want to honor him. So whether it's our parent or our teacher or our shepherd or our spouse, we submit to them, we honor them, we listen to them, we cooperate with them to honor Jesus out of loyalty to Jesus. Christianity, discipleship, is a life of submission. It's a life of submitting to Jesus and like Jesus and for Jesus. And it starts at baptism. And maybe there's somebody here this morning and you're ready to submit to Jesus in baptism, to surrender your life and to say, I'm done. I'm done living for me. I'm done living independently. I'm done chasing my own dreams. I'm going to put myself under the authority of Jesus and allow him to not only wash away my sins, but give me a life that really matters and a life that will last forever. And maybe you're ready to make that commitment to Jesus. Or maybe you've already made that commitment and you need to recommit your life to him. Maybe in certain areas of your life you feel like I've been submitting to Jesus, but I haven't really been submitting to the other people that are in authority over me. So I haven't been submitting like Jesus or for Jesus. And you need to make a change. You don't have to come forward to make that change. You don't have to publicly ask for prayers to make that change. We all, every time we hear the gospel, we all respond to it one way or the other. And so here's your opportunity to respond to the gospel. You can come forward, you can go and visit with the shepherds in the back, or each of us independently can decide, I will submit to Jesus and like Jesus and for Jesus. And if we can help you in any way this morning, now's a great opportunity. Let's together we stand, sing this song.